I don't know if you figured this out, but I consider myself a religious person. And I know that there's a lot of people who are religious people that don't exactly like technology. They think that it's inherently amoral, that it the problem with science and technology is that it doesn't come with any kind of moral guidelines attached to it. That the problem with such things are never the question of should you, but can you? And because of that, it's led to more atrocities being committed in the past 2 decades with a 2 centuries, with a higher body count than anything in the past 1,000 years before the advent of things like gunpowder and the atomic bomb and things like that. Religion doesn't suffer from arrogance because religion is not about pretending to be God. Religion is essentially moral guidelines and ideas and laws that are trying to help people become better people by making other people's lives better and thus turning you into a better person. That's all religion is. Science, on the other hand, is essentially about playing God by trying to come up with ways not to make people better, but to make our lives easier and to accomplish more. And the problem with that is that more often than not, our idea of accomplishing more means constantly wanting more. More weapons, more food, more games, more everything. And never really thinking about the consequences. That's the problem. For science, everything looks good on paper. Then when you actually put it into play, when you put it into practice, it falls apart. That's the problem with this game, Mindjack. On paper, sounded great. When I actually played it, it sucked! Oh God, it sucked! Even the back of the box is a flat-out lie. Let me read it to you. Take a good look at this. Here, let me get it. Okay, sorry, my production is Mickey Mouse. Okay. Hacker be hacked. Okay. You know what? Let me read it for you. AD 2031. Well, I'm glad this actually explains what year it is because the game at play itself, there's not a single line of dialogue nor cutscene explaining when this game takes place or where. So, AD 2031. A radical technology is hacking into the minds of men and machines, instantly turning allies into enemies. As a government agent, you must unravel a dark conspiracy and use this technology to keep society from slipping into chaos. Bullcrap! That doesn't happen! That is not what happens in the game. The very back of the box is a flat-out lie! And that's not the only thing that will lie to you. Take a look at the opening to this very game. Yeah, I know. I actually looked at the opening cinematic to a video game. How silly am I? Well, you know what? I do that because occasionally there are actually genuinely good bits of backstory and setting that is established. It can have merit. But okay, just look at the opening of the game. Admit it. You think the game looks pretty darn good. It looks like there's going to be some cyber hacking masterminds that are working from behind the scenes, taking over people in the middle of the street, causing chaos and anarchy everywhere, and you have to stop it. That's what it looks like, right? That there's warring factions going into other people's heads, heroic factions trying to stop them, and you are somebody caught in the middle that has to put an end to all of it. That's what it looks like is going to happen. That's not what actually does happen. Let me explain what does happen. First of all, let me start by talking about the mind hacking. In order to mind hack, you have to go into a little thing called wanderer mode, which means that you're leaving your body, as your mind travels through this misty, static-filled area that encompasses the region that you're in, so you can go into other people's minds. Now, the way that works is that usually there will be civilians around, which you can hack into, or after you shoot an enemy enough, you'll be able to get inside of their head as well. But you won't just be able to get inside their head using mind hack. No. There's more to it than that.
Visual control sequencing approved.
I would, however, first like to point out that you might not want to mind hack because the stupid static sound effect that they used for mind hacking is aggravating to the brain, and it feels like people are driving nails into your skull. Now, as you might have seen from the tutorial, the whole premise seems fairly simple and fairly straightforward. How can they screw this up? Well, the answer is very simple. The artificial intelligence is broken! It is completely screwed up. I've never seen an example of the machine being so dumb in a video game that how am I gonna put it? Okay, first things first. The actual mind hacking and mind slaving, the whole taking over people's bodies with your mind thing. Let's just start with that. Okay, now, I'm gonna blast the bejeebus out of this guy, and see that little yellow icon? It means I can mind slave him. Send a floating little mind thingy to his brain. Voila! Now, in theory, this means he should be providing cover for me, blasting at the enemies that I can't get to, wearing them down. Seems like a good idea, right? All of it seems like a good idea. You're turning your enemies into your loyal slaves and building an army. The problem is the AI is broken. Look at this. He's shooting the wall. He is shooting the wall. I have seen this happen countless times. The enemies that you take over are so dumb they can't fight worth a crap. You can only barely manage if you take over like half the field, and then maybe you have a chance. Maybe. And the boss fights?
Another win for the good guys.
Boss fights? Well, want to know how those go? You have basically two kinds of boss fights, not counting mini bosses. So, here's how those will go. The first type of boss fight is the big bad guy, the huge mech, will stand off in the background, probably firing at the ground because his aim sucks unless you're super far off, and then suddenly he's got pixel perfect accuracy for some reason. And the only way to make him go away is to blow up all the little minion dudes that are running around him. You know, the same gooks and mooks and goons that you've been killing for level after level. You kill all of them, the machine spontaneously shuts down. Whoop! Just like that. Or, if it's a big old helicopter, you beat up all the guys, and it'll fly off through the air for some reason. Seriously, even after this boss fight, I'm going to show you. This is the second type of boss. Because the second type of boss, you have to attack one goon that's carrying a rocket launcher, kill him over and over again after he continuously respawns, pick up the rocket launcher he dropped, blast the bejeebus out of the boss that you're trying to face down, and repeat it over and over and over again. Find the mook with the rocket launcher, kill him, get the rocket launcher, shoot at the boss. Find the mook with the rocket launcher, get the rocket launcher, shoot at the boss. Over and over and over again until the boss is destroyed. That's it. That's the same pattern repeated over and over and over. It's not fun, it's repetitive.
Damn, veto.
And no, I don't know what veto means. I also don't know which organization your character works for. I don't know what the company that they're trying to fight against stands for. They don't explain like any of the terminology that at all. And as I said before, even in the game, they don't actually explain that this is 2031. I had to figure that out by looking at the opening cinematic and looking inside the instruction manual, but again, those were flat out lies that weren't honest about what's actually happening in the game. As you can see here, this is basically the entire pattern for about half the boss fights. There's this one guy with a rocket launcher, you kill him over and over again every time he pops out of a doorway, take the rocket launcher he has, shoot the big boss that you have to blow up, bam, 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 repeat it over and over again. Does that sound like fun to you? No! So, the boss fights are repetitive and stupid. Fighting against the enemy is aggravating because the AI is completely broken, and when they're not shooting into the walls or ambling about back and forth, easy pickings for you to shoot at, they're constantly trying to swarm you and beat you by sheer numbers alone. I am so tired of video games that think throwing everything at you in the kitchen sink is difficulty and challenge. It's the mark of a piss-poor game. I am trying so hard to think of something good, something creative that this game does not screw up. And it kinda almost sorta maybe came close with the monkeys.
Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh ee, ooh ah ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh ee, ooh ah ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh ee, ooh ah ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang.
Everyone loves monkeys.
I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. And then the witch doctor, he told me
Fortunately, that
what
was
to
when
do.
the game decided to disconnect my controller for the 8th time! And then, of course, there's the plot.
Contact with unknown. Please advise.
Maintain observation. Do not intercept.
Copy that.
Now remember, your partner said to not intercept them, to not actually really go near them, to stay away from them. What does our brave hero Jim do? Oh gee, I wonder what he's gonna do. Wait, why did he pull a gun? What the heck? You know, it would be nice to actually show us some of this action, but ugh, It's all kind of chaotic. Why are they fighting? What's the deal? What's going on? Unfortunately, things are about to get bad. Watch. He snaps his neck. He just straight up murdered a guy. I can't even... What?
Advice? Don't be scared.
Scared? I'm furious.
Listen, lady, you're a high-profile activist and your file's got a 5-star pain-in-the-ass rating. When you hop off planes, you make a lot of people jumpy.
People like
You know what makes people jumpy? Snapping people's necks!
Unknown neutralized. Establish contact with target.
Which bit of do not intercept did you not get? And what do you mean established contact?
And you want to know what the really sick part is? That guy was a government agent. Same agency that you belong to. Deep Cover. And the agency now thinks that you're a traitor because you murdered one of their agents.
Unknown neutralized. Establish contact with target.
All you had to do was just hang back and listen and not snap the guy's neck. And none of this would have happened. None of it. The only reason the plot got started at all is because your main character is a freaking moron. But then, it gets worse. Because after about, say, for me, 5 hours of mind slaving and mind hacking people, then the game did this right before that big gorilla boss fight.
Ever heard of Mindhack, Agent Jim?
Mindwave? Yeah. We stuck on repeat today, lady?
Not Mindwave, Mindhack. Allows partial neural influence of one human over another.
They can do that?
According to this, they can do it and you'll never even know it's happening.
You know, when I first heard that line in the game, I wanted to stop the game. I so wanted to stop the game, to just pause it right there and to chuck the controller out the window. But I couldn't. You want to know why? For one, I had to review this stinker. Two, and this is kind of a deal breaker if you're at all into video games, you can't pause the game! Oh, I'm not kidding. You cannot pause it. You cannot stop the game, get up and get a drink or eat breakfast or watch the Daily Show. No. You can try and pause it by hitting the main Xbox controller thing that brings up the Xbox home menu. No. You can't press the start button to pause it that way. No. You cannot pause the game. Worse still, you can't really stop playing the game because after you finish an area, like a big level, it will give you a 5-second menu that says either continue or cancel, which essentially amounts to the "but thou must" forced choice. This game does not give you any choices, which is ironic. I guess they're trying to be true to the form that you have no choices. You're the puppet. You're the puppets. Puppet dance. Woo woo woo. But when I heard that stupid little "ever heard of Mindhack," I knew that was the dumbest thing the game would ever say. Until I actually stopped and thought about it. And I felt, as dumb as this game was, it had to be a plot point. There was no way, after all those soldiers I had enslaved to shoot up their buddies, this guy, the main character, would not know what Mindhack was. It could not possibly be... It couldn't be true. And I was actually right. It is a plot point. Let me explain. You go up to the top tower of the big bad corporation building where you expect to find Mr. Gardner, who's behind the Nurkis Corporation. Nurkis being the people that are supposedly in charge of everything, but no, it's not him. It's your former partner, Lyle. Yeah, your old war buddy. He's the one responsible for all of this.
You killed him when he didn't take your offer.
I killed him because state secrets are not for sale on an open market to this nation's enemies.
The state doesn't own it. It was a private corporation's discovery, you jackass.
His daughter, body and soul, but failed. But in the attempt, he found a way of digitizing thought processes. He found a way of hacking into people's heads, but he encrypted the secret and locked it in here.
The whole game, this woman, Rebecca Weiss, continues to insist that the company behind all of this has been using Mindhack to kill people. And something they've been buying off the bodies of the people they've killed and incinerating them so that nobody can figure out the truth by doing an autopsy. That's supposedly the whole impetus for why Jim comes along, to find those bodies because he doesn't believe she's telling the truth. And he supposedly does actually find the bodies. Except, remember, again, when you get to the top of the tower, Lyle says he used you to get in there and get to the nerve center because the secret to hacking into people's minds was locked away and he couldn't access it. So then the plot has just collapsed in on itself because there's no reason those people should have died. I thought Lyle was like using the mind hack to kill off people he felt were terrorists and threats to the country, but it can't be that because he doesn't know how to mind hack. So then how are all these people dying? What are the bodies for? It doesn't make sense. The entire first act of the game is basically irrelevant. None of it makes sense.
5, 4, 3, 2.
And of course, I have to talk about the final boss. Now, I know that at first glance, the boss looks really cool. Ooh, look at this cyborg robot guy. He's gonna kick your ass. Looks cool. He's really disappointing. Just like the rest of this game. In fact, you know what? This is a perfect microcosm of the entire game. Looks cool, in reality is disappointing, because all you gotta do is treat him the same way you've been treating all the other soldiers. Shoot him constantly in the head for extra damage again and again and again. He'll just do a few punches and kicks and stuff if you're close by, or he'll rush at you to try and slam into you or do a flying kick. See, just like that. He's only got 2 moves, that's it. Just the close quarters combat or rushing kick. That's it. And you know what the sad thing is? He's actually one of the easiest bosses to beat because in the second phase, you can defeat him in less than 5 minutes. Once I figured it out, it was so easy. See, these little floating turret sections will pop up. You have to shoot them enough to mind slave them. Then, after you've mind slaved them, all you have to do is pop into one of the turrets, fly around, shoot missiles at those glowing red screw me lights in the walls. Voila! That blows up the dome and just defeats the boss. That's it. You just circle around, blowing up these big red grids. That's it.
I get it now. All this time, he's been in my head, guiding me.
You're freaking me out, Jim.
Gardner. It's Gardner who's been hacking into me all along. If I kill her, she's never coming back. Trying to bring Emily back has endangered everyone else.
Wait a minute. The guy who created Mindhack was the one... Oh, so that explains it. This explains it. The guy who created the Mindhack idea, the one who the entire game is built around, that stocky, bearded guy you see in the opening that you play as in the first tutorial level, that's the guy who's been inside your head all along, doing all of the mind hacking and mind slaving for you. That's the reason why Jim Boy hasn't heard of Mind Hack. Okay. Doesn't explain the bodies unless... Oh my god. Did Gardner, like, try to get into other people's bodies and burn them out from the inside, and he's only able to get into Jim and not kill him because he finally perfected it after killing off hundreds of people accidentally? But then why would the company be collecting the bodies? How would they know it was him? And this doesn't... What? What? But yeah, at last, they finally put an end to all of it, and the cavalry arrives.
Agent Judd, FIA. We met at the airport. Okay. That's actually kind of funny. Okay, game. Okay. You get 1 point. That's it. 1 point. Which puts you 1 point above Ride to Hell Retribution. Well, okay, 2 points for the monkeys. I like the monkeys. So there's all set to leave when... what the... Presumably, I think Gardner... That's Gardner? Yeah, it must be Gardner. But is he going into Lyle? Or is he finally passing on?
Safer place, Jim?
Dude, you were trying to go big brother. Don't try and act like you've got the moral high ground.
Lyle, walk towards me. We can figure this out.
You can't tell me I didn't try. I tried, Jim. And now what are you gonna do? Lyle!
They were so banking on the idea that this was going to set up a franchise. It's such obvious sequel bait. Well, the game tanked. Like a brick. I guess there is some justice in this world. I'm not kidding. To date, less than 100,000 units have been sold of this game. The official video game for the second Transformers film sold more in the first year than this crap did. And that's saying something when a movie license game outshines you. Frankly, this game is trash, and it deserves to go inside of the trash. And I hope I never have to see it again. So, what's next up on the docket?